Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have, as usual, a great show for you today. Welcome aboard all that are here in the chat already. Let me pull that up. Whoa, it's kind of full already. Let's see. AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. Senor Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas. We also have in the house. Oh, you got a lot for me to read today, Michael. Joanne from Los Angeles, California. We also have Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. In the house, we have Adam W. Adam from Pennsylvania. Shout out from Pittsburgh. We also have Noah Nurse, Carol Marie Gross, Jim Gibbons, Ellen Ziv, Adam W., John A., Dale. Thank you guys for being here. Love having everybody here. A lot to talk about today. Before I get started, I want to say something that I think more of us need to talk about and be responsible about it, and not fearing being called either anti-Semitic or anti-Palestinian or anti-whatever. Sorry about that. I got a little throat in my throat. That was horrendous what happened in Boulder, Colorado yesterday. Horrendous what happened in Boulder, Colorado. Should never happen. That guy who did what he did to burn another human being, it was in fact a terrorist act, horrendous, and he did evil onto a few of our Jewish brothers and sisters. That's a statement of fact. What occurred in Israel on October, whatever the date was, I can't remember right now, was an act of terrorism and that killed 12,000 people. In this case, 8 people got injured. 1 person in critical condition with severe burns. Evil. All these things are wrong. We don't harm other human beings. We don't do that. Welcome, Harry Denson from Missouri City. Thank you for being here, my brother. We don't do that. But you see the ocean of humanity, of human concern over our Jewish brothers and sisters that were burnt down in Boulder, Colorado. We felt their pain. As one human to another, we felt their pain. Why is it that we are unable to see pictures that are much more graphic, to see destruction that is much more graphic, to see that the tools of the state, of both the United States and Israel, is being used to maim, burn, harm, kill, neuter other human beings, other innocent human beings. Just like we cannot hold those innocent Jewish people who have nothing to do with Netanyahu, who have no control over Netanyahu, we cannot hold them responsible for the evil, for the genocide that Netanyahu and his right-wing government is imposing upon Gaza. Flattening Gaza on one end as people go to their bars and their and have their caviar in Tel Aviv a few miles away, in Haifa a few miles away, in Jerusalem a few miles away. Two realities claiming from a conflict that is bidirectional. How bidirectional is it? So why are we feeling the necessity not to defend, not to call out Netanyahu? I'm talking from a governmental point of view, from a most Americans' point of view. Why don't we feel the necessity to call Netanyahu for the evil that he is, as we see other human beings suffering, as we see other human beings maimed, bleeding, skull busted up, killed, mothers gone, daughters gone, people that will never have a life, people running around a prison, an open air prison, running around trying to find a piece of bread, living among rubble while surrounded by civilization, starving. Where is our collective compassion to force that to stop? You know, when I saw what occurred in Boulder, I felt so bad, and I'm like, I'm ready to say, why, criminal? How could he do that? And then I asked myself the same question: why don't we have that same passion? Why don't we have the reels on TV showing the carnage in Gaza, in parts of the Golan Heights, etc., the West Bank? Why don't we? I think at some point in time, we are going to remember this time as a time that we failed humanity. At the time that we failed humanity because of our own prejudices. We fail humanity by stamping onto others a false reality. So I think it is incumbent on all of us as caring human beings to call our senators and Congress representatives who are responsible for arming, because it's American bombs that are falling and maiming these people. I think it is incumbent on us to do something about that. Deborah J. from Fairfax, Virginia, thank you for being here. Adam, Pennsylvania, I called you out already as well. Adam W. says the same reason we do not show the carnage of mass shooting and school shootings here in the U.S. on our own soil. Exactly. I think you named something important, Adam W. All right, from Michael Rudney, New York Times, on the campaign trail, Elon Musk juggled drugs and family drama. As Mr. Musk entered President Trump's orbit, his private life grew increasingly tumultuous, and his drug use was more intense than previously known. Musk took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms and traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with markings of the stimulant Adderall. Elon Musk living the Wolf of Wall Street life. You remember that movie? Check that movie out if you haven't seen it, guys. It's worth a watch how a person self-destruct, and their self-destruction mimic the actions of Elon Musk. Notice he's destroyed Tesla already. The Times UK, Doge cuts to the USAID, blamed for 300,000 deaths, most of them children. Even Bill Gates made a mention of that recently. Elon Musk's tenure running Trump's Department of Government Efficiency has, according to the academic Brooks Nichols, caused thousands of preventable deaths. Brooke Nichols, mathematician and professor of infectious diseases at Boston University, created a model to predict the human cost of the Department of Government Efficiency USAID funding cuts. The number of deaths on Nicholas' tracker hit 300,000, more than the 200,000 of them children. NPR, we are all going to die, Senator. I'm not going to read that one. Read it on your own, because that is what we're covering a whole lot of that today. We're covering a whole lot of that today. And let's see, from Harry Denson says situation couple This one is from Lee the Bearcat. Situation: couple has 58K left on truck, can only sell it for 48 because they can afford it. Solution: go to credit union and ask to have 10K in unsecured note instead of reposition of sell at 24K. Brother, you let me just say that statement in a lot of ways is from a position of privilege. Because if you ever understand or understood what all those people who, let me just go to the mortgage crisis, none of that was afforded them. I have a neighbor. Let me just tell you this quick story. I had a neighbor who, during the crisis, by the way, I lived a very clean life. All when my neighbors were getting rich off of this, the mortgage deal. In other words, a friend of mine went and bought a home in Las Vegas. He bought it for like $300,000 and got it. I got it appraised at over $1 million. Took out $700,000 and spreed on it. When he came and he told me how smart he was, etc. And I said, "You don't ever intend to pay that back, do you?" He said, he smiled. He never paid it back. But you know what? He's still in my neighborhood. He's still doing not as well as he did before, but fairly well. But some people aren't afforded the ability to fail upwards. And that is what a lot of folks don't know. So when you make statements like that, Lee the Bearcat, my brother, it shows that you think the credit and the credit situation in America is analogous for all. I wrote my book, and I sure it's not. And actually, this is going to be I'm going to just show it. Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. In this book, I tell a lot of stories about business. I've been in several businesses, a lot of businesses, several employment. I never stayed at a job more than a year, most of them 6 months to 8 months, etc. And I gave some stories in there that that should give you pause. If you think what applies to you in that regards apply to everybody else, my brother, you are in fact dreaming, sir. All right. Adam says, when Countrywide was offering everyone 125% loan to value on their homes as incentive to refinance, it was obvious a disaster was about to hit. Yep, you're absolutely right about that, Adam W. Let me see what else we got. I tell you what, let's go ahead and play the first video. The first video, and both of these are going to be covering Ernst, but I have two takes on it, okay? And I want to play them both. I want to play them both because it's important. But before I start playing them, I need to make sure that I have all my channels mapped in. And it's a good thing I did it because all the channels are not mapped in so that everybody can hear it on the different channels. All right, it's now mapped in. I want you to hear the, that's not the right one, Mike. That's not the right. Let me go ahead and get the right videos. Those are not the right videos. The right videos are this one, that one there, and Jasmine Crockett. Those are the two that I want to cover. All right, let me go ahead and remap those inside again, because if I don't remap them, some of you on certain channels won't hear it. And I want all my channels to hear this message. All right, let's go with Jasmine Crockett first. And then after that, I'll do the second one. Let's go with Jasmine Crockett, and then we'll move on from there. You know, the mainstream media got Jasmine Crockett on to really paraphrase Joni Ernst, because Joni Ernst committed what would, for quite a few politicians, be a mortal sin. She simply kind of told the truth. Everybody's gonna die. So Jasmine Crockett paraphrased it and said, you're saying we elected you to dig our grave. But here's the thing. I want you to listen to how the media covers this. What Jasmine Crockett said and is doing is correct. But I think the mainstream media has, even in covering Joni Ernst the way they're covering her, dropped the ball. I'll explain afterwards. Go ahead and listen to this. We'll take it on the other side.
Town halls are getting these two House Republicans faced intense backlash from their constituents this week over their support of the GOP's budget bill. And you saw Congressman Mike Flood from Nebraska admitting that he didn't even read the full bill and was blindsided by the provision making it harder for judges to enforce court orders. And then you have Congresswoman Ashley Hinson of Iowa, who faced a series of boos and laughs for her unwavering support of the sweeping budget bill, as she claimed to be cleaning up misinformation. But the most stunning moment from town halls this week happened yesterday when Iowa Senator Joni Ernst was confronted about Medicaid cuts.
They are not eligible, so they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die. So for heaven's sakes.
Ma'am.
Okay, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is back with us now. Congresswoman, we're all gonna die. What's your response?
Well, I have to agree. At some point, we all are going to die. But the idea that, people have elected you to be their representative and be their voice and to be their protector and to look out for them. And your answer is, baby, I don't really care if you lose your health care. I don't really care if you don't have access to really what you should have access to. You elected me to basically help you dig your grave. That is basically what she was saying. And that is basically what the Republicans have decided to do when they decided to give a thumbs up to this bill.
Here is the reality. Jasmine Crockett, that little soundbite is great. You elected me to help you dig your grave. That is something Republicans have been doing all along while accusing others of doing it. Do you remember while we attempted to pass the Affordable Care Act, what were the different memes being used? Throwing your grandmother off the mountain, throwing her over the cliff. Remember death panels? Remember all of those things that they accuse a bill that was there to save people's lives, not cutting healthcare, but adding healthcare. Remember that. I want you to remember that. Obamacare, whether you like it or not, I particularly accepted it, but I didn't like it because it kept privatized insurance companies, which it's makes absolutely no sense. But in a capitalist society where you have a lot of turncoat neoliberal Democrats, it's impossible, or it would have been impossible for Obama to get anything else. But let's rest that aside. There was actually spending placed into getting health care with Obamacare. Republicans characterize it as throwing your grandmother off the cliff, death panels, not being able to have choice. All of these ridiculous things that came about, even though, again, this was improving healthcare. Here we have the Republican bill itself that is actually taken away. And that, number one, Democrats and the neoliberal Democrats and the mainstream media cannot find a narrative that is better than the lies that Republicans told during Obamacare when they were giving people health care, that Democrats and the media are having problems telling that story as they're trying to remove health care. I find it pathetic. What should have been spoken about even before Ernst said anything is throughout the several years of Obamacare, the several years that the Affordable Care Act have been in existence, we should have had all news programs from the mainstream, all Democrats talking about all the red states that refused to have the Medicare expansion to the Affordable Care Act, which was actually doing what again? Killing people. A lot of people are dying in Texas because the Texas Republicans chose not to accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, which for the first 3 years was free and subsequent years cost them just 10%. A lot better than what's occurring right now. They didn't take it. But the mainstream media didn't make a big deal out of it. They never make a big deal out of the things that need to be spoken about, things that are killing Americans. So Joni Ernst tells a little truth that is not very politically wise as they are cutting, and she just says, well, we all die. She's right. And now the mainstream media is using Joni Ernst as the whipping girl. Why isn't the entire Texas legislature a whipping men? Why aren't all the states and all the governors not accepting the Medicaid expansion to Affordable Care Act even before these big cuts from the Republicans become a big issue? Why are we just sound biting, we all gonna die? Why are we sound biting just, we all gonna die, when we should have sound bited a long time ago that every legislature not passing the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act are murdering their citizens? That should have been a headline long time ago, continuously. So yes, it's great. Beat up on the woman senator who made a faux pas. But what about the reality? She is doing a bad thing. But all the evil within that bill that these men created. Why aren't we hitting Mike Johnson up as he should be for lying barefaced to all these different reporters? Why aren't we doing that? Tapper, he lied directly to Tapper about not cutting Medicaid. I mean, that should just have been a bald-faced call out the same way they're calling out Joni Ernst, if not more so, because Joni Ernst is trying to defend something that has already been passed by the House. Look, the bill is a disaster. It has a lot of parts in there to protect the Trump against the judiciary, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But let the hold the mainstream media accountable. It's not about Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst is minimalist when it comes to this issue. It's the whole GOP machine, the MAGA machine that we need to be rid of. And, this morning after I did this, I said this morning, you know what, man, I covered all of that. I repeated some of that this morning, and I'm going to play it along with a little piece from our good guy. This is that all in with Eric with Hayes. I want Chris Hayes. I want to do that because it is a similar narrative, but I put a few more things in there that I want you to listen to, because I didn't feel I by the way, I do all these videos as I get a clip. I do these videos in real time. Then I run it through to do the text that you see me write into the blogs. So every now and then I don't get it all complete the first time. And usually I would kind of correct that in the writing. But this one I wanted to correct in video because I wanted to play it. I actually did it this morning on KPFT. So what I want to do is play that one over, and then we'll move on. Telephone calls, all the good stuff that comes thereafter. So let's do that. A lot of folks are talking about the Ernst statement that she made about, we're all going to die. And the media has been going crazy about that story.
She faced her constituents at a town hall she held at 7:30 in the morning.
So when we're talking about the corrections in this reconciliation bill, again, it's corrections of overpayments and people that have not been eligible for these programs by law as it is currently written. So when you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits, 1.4 million, 1.4, they are not eligible. So they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die. So for heaven's sakes, folks. Okay. No, but what you don't want to do is listen to me when I say that we are going to focus on those that are most vulnerable. Those that meet the eligibility requirements for Medicaid, we will protect. We will protect them.
Just to be clear, there's like 10 million plus American citizens that are going to be kicked off Medicaid, according to the CBO's own estimates, again, run by a Republican currently.
I want to point out something that is very important that we should know. It always seems like, and I
accuse me of identity politics here, if you will, but I have to point this out. I am no fan of Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst is not the worst MAGA person out there. In fact, she is just an acting MAGA person, right? She's not really with the program, but she has to act it out because of fear of the Führer. So she acts it out. But it made, as soon as she said, we are all going to die, it made they attacked this woman like no other. She became the Hillary Clinton of the mainstream media. And I looked at it and I'm like, but Joni Ernst isn't really the problem. Joni Ernst has not been the one committing, she hasn't yet, in this iteration, committed what's known as social murder. Social murder is when, because of the policies that you support, people die. Joni Ernst has taken the entire flack of the Republican evilness that occurring right now. I'm not talking about, remember folks, when I talk about Republican evilness, I'm not talking about rank and file Republicans, my average brother and sister. I am talking about the leaders that are doing these things. Joni Ernst has been taking the brunt of everything. And I wonder, why is it that while she hasn't yet in this iteration committed social murder, why is it that, let's say, Ted Abbott, or not Abbott, our governor, here we call him Ted, our Governor Abbott has not, Dan Patrick has not, and all of these folks who have passed legislation that actually kills people. All right? We are just about to finish another legislative session here in Texas. And still, we don't have the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. We are still not taking the tax dollars that Texans, all of you Texans out there, my brothers and sisters, Texans, all of you out there, you have paid into the Medicare expansion to the Affordable Care Act. You have already paid those dollars. You have spent those dollars. Whether ideologically or not, Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott wants to provide health care for the indigent and the poor that is available to provide right now. It's there for them to use. But Abbott and Patrick and the entire Republican legislature, as they are passing bills to restrict women, as they're passing bills to kill businesses that work with THC, as they're doing all these things, the one thing that they could not do, or they decided isn't worth their time, their morality, or their humanity, is to say, let's give health care that's already paid for by Texans to our poor, our rural folks, the indigent, and others. Let's do that. They didn't. And I don't see, a national media really letting Abbott and Patrick and the Republican legislature in the 10 red states that refuse to give their people the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. I don't hear the media talking about, look at what they said. She said we all are going to die. And you know what? Guess what? We are all going to die. I mean, she said it in a corny, rather insensitive manner. But you know what? We're all going to die. But somehow it is okay to beat up on Joni Ernst. And look, I'm not defending Joni Ernst. I'm saying, how comes it becomes so easy to beat up on this woman, but it's so difficult for the media, write stuff in your face. People dying from the policies in effect, not the policies that may be in effect, but by the policies in effect. Why is it? Why is it that we are not really hitting on those who are killing Americans? And note that what I'm saying, they're killing Americans. I mean, again, I said I don't want to play identity politics, but it seems like when women do a little something, the attack is on. But when these guys go out there and do other things, who cares? No big deal. It's just a policy thing. It's just a policy thing. Yesterday, Michael Johnson goes on TV, looked into the eye of every American listening. He was looking into that camera. And he said, the big, beautiful bill will not increase the deficit. That was patently a lie. And the person who interviewed him never said, sir, you're lying. You are lying. When he said it is not going to cut Medicaid, and we know that it's going to cut Medicaid because of the new because of the new policy requirements within that, it is going to kill me. And he looks into all of your eyes. And this isn't the first time they've done that. They've done this in 2016 or rather 2017. They've done it over and over again. They look in your eye. And by the way, MAGA, I'm talking to you, my brothers and sisters. You're the one that's going to pay the price. You are the ones who pay most of the price right now for all those places that chose, I repeat, for all your red state governors that chose not to give you the health care, the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, you are the ones suffering. They just don't tell you on the news that the reason you can't get the health care is your governor chose not to give it to you. And it's already paid for. Your governor only has to pay 10%. And in the first 3 years, it was free. The federal government paid it all. Texas paid it. California paid it. Florida paid it. New York paid it. Connecticut paid it. And so when your aunt, your cousin, died because they couldn't get the medicine, died because they held back from going to the doctor because, you know what, man, I ain't got health care. I can't pay for that MRI. That money was there to spend, and they chose not to do it. It was a choice. It was a choice by policy of Republican politicians not to support you. And again, it's the MAGA-dominated states that didn't accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. So by progressive and not progressive, from my mainstream media, yeah, give hell to Joni Ernst, but don't forget about Dan Patrick. Don't forget about Greg Abbott. Don't forget about Mike Johnson. Don't forget about even Louisiana. Finally decided, you know what? We better give health care to our citizens, because guess what started to happen in Louisiana? Some of our Louisiana brothers and sisters started to wake up. And that was right in the backyard of who again? Mike Johnson. So, folks, I want you to wake up.
Yes, I want you to wake up so badly. Welcome. Margaret Ryan from Northeast Washington State. Welcome to the program. Deborah J says, she says, good afternoon from Northeast Washington State. Deborah J says, I'm going to get out of my country looking at Portugal, France, and Spain. I have one of our members here in the PDR Posse lives in Barcelona, Spain. You hear her on her, or rather, she's on mostly every morning with us, as well as she comes in the afternoon to listen to us from Barcelona, Spain. She loves it. Friend of mine just got a condo in Portugal. She'll be able to live for $1,500 a month in Portugal. What I meant to tell her is I don't know how long that's going to be, because you know what? The dollar is, if this bill passes, the dollar is likely to crash. It's a good possibility that the dollar crashes if the big ugly bill passes. Adam W says, when Countrywide was offering everyone I read that one already. Let's see what else we got here. What else have we got here? I almost feel, Adam W., I almost feel like they accidentally, maybe intentionally said out loud something she heard in a backroom discussion. Click, click, you named it. You named it. And John A says insurance companies want to have inferior products where you pay and pay, but if you have anything more, let me give you a little story. We have insurance. I'm not going to give the company or anything because, again, I don't want to start anything with my wife's job or anything like that. But we went to she needed to get some sort of a CT scan, and the deductible, her out of pocket for the CT scan for this very good insurance program was going to cost her $800. Well, I went online and looked up for where can you get these CT scans for if you don't have insurance, etc. And guess what? You don't have insurance, you can go to these different standalone, what do you call them? That takes all these MRIs and CTs and all of that, these standalone CT areas, and get it for $200. $200, which means an insurance company like hers would buy those CT scans for under $200, more than likely, but her deductible to get that CT scan, if it goes through the insurance, would be $800. Do you guys understand the con that is occurring here? In other words, she pays her premium every single month, which is very high. You pay the premium every single month. You need to get a CT scan. They charge you $800 for the CT scan. But if you have no insurance and decided to go somewhere and get that CT scan, the same place, it costs you $200. Wow. That means more than likely the insurance company was taking another premium from you, another $600 from you. The thuggery. But you know, when that happens, we don't say lock them up. We don't say throw them in jail. We don't say any of that. But you have that little kid that goes into the 7-Eleven and he runs out with a Coke or he runs out with a candy bar. And we want to kill him. We want him to be locked up, especially if he's from the inner city. Get those thugs off the street. Get them off the street. But then comes that guy, that upper middle class or wealthy executive with his suit and his tie on. And they set up how much they're going to charge you. And you must have that MRI. You don't have to have the candy bar. You must have the MRI. And then they charge you $800, even though you're insured, to cover your portion. We'll cover the rest. They're not covering the rest. You are paying for it all. And you're paying for somebody else too. This is the system that we have. And when we talk about healthcare for all, Medicare for all, these are the thuggery, the thievery that we're trying to avoid. If we could just cut the bull and get that into el cráneo de la gente, in the brains of people, to see that we are being conned over and again, and some of us just take it. And if you talk about it, they want to call you a socialist. Well, damn it, for $200 versus $800, call me whatever the hell you want to call me. Right? They are sucking the blood out of us. They're sucking our wealth. They're sucking our income. They're sucking everything out of us. And we are responsible. It is our responsibility. We are the ones allowing them to screw us because we continue to have thoughts like our brother Eric. Oh, that sounds good to me. Or, but you would be lying if you go for 200. I mean, Listen to what he says. I want you to show you the enslaved mind here. And Brother Eric, that's an enslaved mind. Okay? Check this out. If I go to that same place that does, I want to show you an enslaved mind. If the insurance company says, all right, if you go to MRI place number A, it's going to you're going to MRA place A. Your deductible is $800. You're paying this insurance company monthly. They're telling you your deductible is $800. Now, you call that company directly and you say, hey, if I don't have insurance, how much does that MRI cost? They're not going to give you the MRI below cost. I know what these things run. Okay, the film and all that kind. In fact, it's no film anymore. It's all digitized. So it's whether you turn on the machine, it's the value of the electricity plus the price of the machine amortized over 10 years or so. So it costs nothing. If I'm a doctor, I can go in and say, you know what, I need to do an MRI. And it's free. I just go sit down in the machine, turn it on, get it done. Right? So it's way under $200 for the real cost of that MRI. And we know that the insurance company who buys in bulk does that. Now, Eric says, oh, you should pay the $800 because if you pay the $200 to the that company, then you're lying. So wait a minute. I should accept the insurance company screwing me, and I should accept that third party company charging me X amount of dollars to be not lying? It makes no sense. The system is designed for you to try to get the best deal you can at all costs because they are screwing you, folks. They are. Thank you, Bruce Pollard is in from Minneapolis. Great to see you here, my brother. They're screwing you. And you know when Manchoni shot that guy, I don't condone that, but I tell you something, right? When cops kill a thief, we condone that, right? If a petty thief is taking something and starts to run, how many times have cops blown the head off of a kid running out of a store because he stole something very inexpensive? I am not condoning these things. I am trying to create a level of understanding. That's all. A level of understanding. That's all I'm doing here. All right, Margaret, how you doing, Margaret? Margaret said, I saw Kathy Gray says, how can they call themselves a right to life party, just like they would allow our veterans to die? They would let us die to save money for the oligarchs. Exactly. The insurance companies want to have an inferior product where you pay and pay, but if you have anything more than a cold, then you hit a ridiculous low cap. You then will be indeed need Medicaid. Absolutely. Absolutely. Norman, welcome aboard. Norman, is this Norman or Brother Norman? Let's see. Deborah says she didn't get to finish her comment. She said, J.E. said it out loud before any other Republican has said that segment. Yeah, Joni Ernst said it out loud. I do blame all Republicans for the travesty of Trump regime because they voted for it. They heard what Trump said. Exactly right, Deborah. And his eyes are the eyes of a man that never had to worry about a thing in his life. That is why he chose the Green Bar in West Virginia for the Republican Party to meet up as of a year ago, give or take. He is completely detached from his country club lifestyle. Exactly right. John A. says, yes, groceries are an old-fashioned term. The orange turd just tells his servants what he wants, and it appears. Correction, as a result, the man has disdain for Americans. True. Sue Sharka, welcome aboard. Still I rise. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Margaret says, yes to thuggery, but do the standalone radiological clinics include a radiologist to read them, or is the 200 just for the tech part? Actually, you get the tech stuff done, and it's also read automatically. Here's the funny thing about all of this, Margaret, because I had a long conversation All of these things, this is the workflow these days. Picture gets taken, AI does its part in reading the thing. Because my daughter just had a brain scan. You know, she had 2 strokes, and they were checking her the AVM to see what state it was in, etc. So that after that was done, the AI went ahead and read the blood flow in that thing and wrote a report. But guess what's the other part of that thing? They then send it electronically to India. The Indian doctors work at a fraction of a cost of a radiology in the United States. They fulfill the report and send it right back. And this isn't the first time, just for my baby scan of her head. My wife was in the hospital and they had to do a lung scan, right? And when they called her with a report, and this woman reading the report was in India as they were reading the analysis of the report. I mean, it's amazing what these guys go through to save money, but at the same time, our cost is not falling. Their responsibility for growth continues. Remember, capitalism: grow, 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 irrespective of what happens, and it's always growing at your expense. But since we don't understand that, we just think into the gospel of capitalism, because we don't understand that it is an extractive, evil kind of a system. You think about it. It is if you have to grow and grow and grow, whether things have improved or not, the only way to grow is to take stuff away from you, and it's reflected in the numbers. That's why income inequality has grown. That's why wealth disparity has grown. It is not an accident. It's not an accident. It is a design. It's the design of the system to take from the many to populate, to enrich the few. It's not a it is in the it's a mathematical formula of capitalism. Whoever grows at a higher rate means if you have one economy and the wealthy is growing at 10% a year, the rest are either falling behind, not growing at all, or negative deficit. And that is what we show. That's what the numbers show. It's by design. But we have to explain this over and over again, and we'll continue to do so. Adam says, I'm sorry for your daughter's struggle, Egberto, and that of your family. Look, let me tell you something. I am so happy that I was a warrior for healthcare before all the negative health things really started to afflict us here. Because a lot of folks would discount a lot of what I say about healthcare, thinking that I was saying this just because my daughter eventually got 2 strokes, or that my wife's lupus degenerated, or anything like that. Long before lupus, long before my daughter's stroke, I was a warrior for healthcare because I understood how it was an evil system. And even when we were going solo, when I got my wife to leave her job when Ashley was born, and I had Willie's computer software company at the time, we kind of used some technicalities within her job to hold on to the insurance until I could get our own private. I mean, I navigated the insurance inconsistencies for decades. And I've always been an advocate to fight that we needed Medicare for all. Always. Even before we went through our tribulations. And I'm glad for that, because I never wanted anybody to say the reason you're so passionate about healthcare is because it affected you. That is how conservatives think. If it doesn't affect them, it doesn't exist. But I've always been passionate for healthcare. I've always been passionate for education. I've always been passionate for childcare. Even before I had a kid, I was an activist when I came to the country, and when I learned the system to do it. So I mean, I find it important to tell you that, because I think you have more credibility if people understand that you're not doing this because of personal gain. Well, in the case of Ashley now,
until Ashley is able to get some sort of employment that is commensurate with her current disability, which I may have some news to break in a couple months. We hope. Until then, she has to be on Medicaid because she is uninsurable in the open market. Period. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They thought, oh, well, did Obamacare save that? Yeah, but it didn't save the amount that it's going to cost. So it is so, so, so important that we understand that we're all in this game together. All in the game together. Luckily, the family has always had health insurance. And even with health insurance, having it forever, we have always fought because it's expensive. When you have disaster, it is difficult. My pain is for that person who is right there sitting on the line that can get no care at all. And to believe that you have people in our chat, some of them professing to be Christians, some of them professing to care about others, to watch the commentary that they make, the evil heart within a lot of this commentary being made. It shows you such a lack of humanity that the one thing that I always say, I don't wish bad on anyone, but bad's going to happen to many of them. Bad's going to happen to many of them. My dear Patrick, talk to me, brother.
Hey, I didn't want to interrupt, but we're getting close to 4. I appreciate the fact that you've been interested in healthcare longer than your family has had problems. But for many people, and I'm definitely not taking away from that, but many people don't really figure it out until they go to get their loved one's healthcare.
Yes.
And they can't get it. Copays are designed to keep you from using a product you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like having a gun barrel that faces you.
Thank you for saying. Look, Patrick, that's important for you to know. I mean, that is even more important than what I just said, because a lot of folks are still going to be sitting back here and saying, "Well, I have healthcare, thank God," and you just gave the most important thing. Yep. They use copays not to get you to get the healthcare, but it's even worse. Sometimes when it is that you have to get the healthcare, you find out that you're just not going to be covered. Go ahead, brother.
I also wanted to point out that there is a counter that it's based on a mathematical system or model. So they're not actually going out and counting these people, but they understood what USAID was doing for people, and they understood the benefit it brought to them. And they also have third parties that gave feedback to it. And now there's a counter that's being run by one of the universities here. I forgot which one, but they're modeling the death rate.
Yeah,
and it's
at 300,000. It's at 300,000 right now. Yeah.
And
it's a shame.
Bono, before that counter came out, Bono went on Joe Rogan, and Bono's pretty well known for his empathy and the amount of work he does for the sport. Yeah.
Right.
And he started talking with Joe Rogan about it, and it was a long interview, and on most everything they agreed. They agreed that yes, there could have been some things fixed, and yes, that anything could be worked on. But what they fundamentally agreed on was that it was wrong to tear this down and just destroy it. That wasn't the way to get rid of fraud.
Patrick, you're absolutely right. But Patrick, I have an announcement to make here about a few things that I'm changing with PDR. So let's talk tomorrow morning and afternoon. You have carte blanche with this program. But I need to make an announcement that I've changed up a few things going forward. But look, thank you for that, brother. Peace, appreciate it.
I totally understand. Have a good day.
You too, my man.
All right, folks. Let me just tell you, because of this is a very tough business. Doing the kind of work that we do is a very tough business, and as you know, I do two programs every day: the KPFT program and the Politics Done Right at KPFT, and then the standalone Politics Done Right that I do away from KPFT. First of all, there are a lot of people that I'm watching in the chats right now that are there for both programs, and they have been. I can look at Adam W. I can look at Margaret Ryan. I can look at Joanne. I can look at Brother Rudnin. I can look at Brother Bruce and all. I'm just seeing the people on the screen right now. If I missed you, you know I love you, and I know that. I can look at Lee Grant. Look at a lot of our people out here have supported the program, but we're sort of at a place right now where I really have to try to increase the our membership, because again, I'm exhausting after 10 years of more than 10 years of doing this for so long. I've started to exhaust the reserve, and we're getting at point critical. So I'm trying to figure out different ways to encourage folks. Most people can get our newsletter to encourage folks to be more to for the product. I hate doing this. I hate saying this. So I am no longer going to do Ask Egberto as we did before. I'm going to have every weekend now for our paid subscribers. We're going to do a program special for you. It's going to be a Substack live program special for you. Everybody who becomes a subscriber of Politics Done Right everybody who becomes a subscriber of our newsletter will automatically get a thing out when we're doing it. And the way I'm going to do it, it's going to be on Saturdays and Sundays, and it's going to be one of each day. And I'm going to try to displace the time. I'll announce a time based on my schedule because as you know, I do a lot of activism on the weekends as well. This is a full-time thing that we do here. So what I'm going to do is our Ask Egberto, everything that was always the first Saturday of every month, is going to be no longer. It's going to be it's going to be our live program every weekend, and it's going to be either on Saturday or Sunday at different times, so that people that are living different lives at different times on the weekend, everybody eventually gets to come and hit me up, talk to me, call me. We'll even have video in if anybody wants to be videoed in. And additionally, it will be every week as opposed to once a month. It's going to be a live program, and it's going to be only on Substack Live. It will be a Substack Live program every single week on either Friday or Saturday at different times. And we will announce the times that it's going to be. And of course, all of you get the books, all the things that we have with being a member is what it's going to be all about. I have to start seriously raising the amount of paid subscribers that we have, because again, we're reaching that area. My break even, I thought would have been sometime next year. It's coming a bit earlier than sometime next year because of a lot of things that you guys have known have occurred with illness and all that good stuff. So I'm going to have to change things around a bit and try different things to encourage a little bit more support of the program. And I hope that all of you will be, those of you who can, will subscribe to our newsletter, would become patrons, or, all the different facets that we have, because this is important. Let me tell you something that I've noticed. I've looked through my Twitter feeds and my these other networks, and we have a lot of mainstream media folks that follow the program. It's amazing. I've seen certain people bring up certain directions on TV, and I'm like, hey, I thought that too. And then realize, we all share information, and we all look at others people's information to sort of make our narrative. So we are all of us here because you guys influence what we do as well. I think it's important for us to remain doing this, and we can with all of your support. So I'm asking again, kindly, those of you who have the wherewithal to do so, please consider becoming paid subscribers of our network by becoming either going to our news, becoming a patron. And again, everybody who becomes a patron would automatically get a comp for the newsletter. In other words, if you join us via Patreon, I'll automatically set that up as a comp for the newsletter. And again, anybody who does the newsletter, of course, has everything. So that's how we roll here. And to become a part of the newsletter, let me give you Patreon first in the chat. Patreon, you can get to our Patreon by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, and that's it right there. Or you can become a member of our newsletter, be a paid subscriber of our newsletter to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. All right. So I got to get out of here. It's 4:03. I'm a bit over, which means I'm going to have to cut some of this stuff down. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening. And I ask you to hang with me. Let's do this stuff together. My name is Egberto Willies. Love you all. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics